Hey everyone, it's Dr. Anna Kebecka here. I am thrilled to be here with all you guys. It's exciting. We've got a lot going on right now in this time of year. We're in Breast Health Awareness Month, really talking about the importance of being proactive in our breast health, right? Breast health awareness, not breast cancer awareness, because we are not defined by our diagnoses. We are really working to strive, thrive, and energize. And so with that in mind, we always want to get to cellular health and improve cellular health. So I have a dear friend of mine on who has just been an inspiration to me, just incredible, example of, walking the talk, and an incredible example of energizing. So Andrea, good to have you here with me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. We get to chat a little bit.
I know we do. Let me move my mic a little bit closer here. There we go. And well, let me just tell everyone a little bit about you. That you're going to have me help me with your last name again. Duchonovic.
Close.
Duchonovic. Andrea Duchonovic. All right. So, a wellness enthusiast and a certified health coach with the Institute of Integrated Nutrition. She is passionate about inspiring people, giving them tools, and connecting them to the appropriate experts so they can experience healthier, happier longevity. And I've known you because you work with the best of the best. And I've met you at conferences, and you're always inquisitive and they're learning more and interacting and really on the cutting edge. So I'm excited to introduce your project you have going on right now.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's been just like all of us, there's a story, right? And it's been a journey of exploring and trying and not succeeding, right? But continuously trying and not allowing myself to believe that how I felt was normal. And I kept questioning and looking and trying until I found the answers. And that's why I decided to put this masterclass together, to just share that with the women around the world.
We'll talk about that because your story is really powerful.
Yeah. So, I mean, growing up, I was that typical kid and teenager who was like always on the go, 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 go. And I think, just ran myself into exhaustion in my teens, but thinking that, oh, it's just a lot of schoolwork. And I was the president of my high school and all these things were going on. And I thought it was normal, right? So I just kept living my life and I kept getting busier and more stressed and heavier periods. And, you talk about hormones. So it's just, my hormones were all out of whack. And I just thought, this is normal. It just kept being this is normal. My labs looked okay to the traditional doctor. And then I got into health and wellness and nutrition. And I tried all the fad diets out there and all the supplements and all the protocols and all the cleanses. And I was just not getting better. So it's when I got introduced to holistic wellness, functional medicine, whatever you want to call it, that I started learning about true answers to my problems. And that's where I got inspired that how I felt was not normal. And there is a better way. And little by little, I just started learning these things and these tips and tricks that work, not only to break myself out of that exhaustion level, but just to be healthier, no matter what issues arise. So I just wanted to share it with the world, and having you on was just amazing.
Well, thank you. So yeah, it was great to be a guest on this. Now tell us about what you've created here, this Breaking Up with Exhaustion Masterclass. 35 world-renowned experts. That is a lot of work, my dear.
Hey, it was a lot of interviews, but for a good reason. Thankfully, they're like forever interviews, right? It took me a little while to figure out what I wanted to do and what pillars of health, these essential things that you need to do, that I wanted to concentrate on. Because Anna, this more than anyone else. Like there's a lot when it comes to wellness. There's a lot of things that you need to do better and explore and try. It's not a one pill is going to fix your exhaustion in this case. But I really try to focus on what are these 7 essentials, right? What does every expert that I get to know on these conferences, that I get to interview, that I get to work with, what are those 7 things that they all have in common that they address? And those were the 7 pillars I decided to go with. So I went around and I searched top experts in every single pillar. And I went even a little deeper to go, what do I need each expert to talk about in order to make this masterclass actionable? because there's so much information overload out there. And I didn't want to just give these women information. I want to show them how to make this applicable. So that's what I decided to go with.
So like, what were some of the key highlights? Like what are the 7 pillars?
Yeah, so the 7 pillars are, it starts with mindset, emotional healing, just daily habits, right? Because it starts there. And we have to work on ourselves just a little bit in order to really, truly get our health back. So that was pillar 1. Pillar 2 is where you featured, and that's hormones of stress. I wanted to bring that up top because as women, if our hormones are out of whack, everything else could literally fall apart. And so we educated on hormones and stress. The 3rd pillar, we start going into toxicity and detox. I've learned so much. I helped put together literally a toxicity and detox CEU approved certification with HCF seminars because it was such a game changer for me. So addressing the toxic load, environmental, things that you're putting on your skin, things that you're eating, and then detoxing it properly, right? You and I speak about that all the time. Then the next pillar is our food, feeding our bodies with real food. And then lifestyle types, right? Should you as a woman that's exhausted be looking at keto or paleo or diet variation? Like, where do you start? What do you explore that's actually worth your time and your energy and your money? Then we go into fasting. Fasting was another game changer in my exhaustion levels. So we take you through that and how to start and the different types of fast that you could be doing. Then we go into gut health. We know that it all starts in the gut. So we talk about gut health, how to improve that, your digestion, how it works, how to improve it day to day. And then we finish off with sleep and movement. And I kind of pair them together because if you're not moving, you're sleeping. So we go into, creating your sanctuary at night and getting good, deep quality sleep. And then movement, how to fit movement into your life as an exhausted mom, entrepreneur. So we really dive right in, but I really try to make it as actionable as possible, where if you're a busy, exhausted woman, you could focus on one pillar, start there, and then go from there. It's just incredible. I'm so excited for this to launch.
That is powerful stuff. Let's hit on endocrine disruptors for a second, because endocrine disruptors are something that, that gets into our stuff, let me tell you. And let's talk about that. So what are endocrine disruptors?
Yeah, I mean, we all are meant to just function so well, right? Our body knows what to do. We're meant to live this vibrant life. And when we start basically throwing these just toxins, right? Environmental toxins. And we start throwing these, we're literally disrupting the way that our body is supposed to function and the energy we're supposed to have. And why would you know that you're doing this to yourself, right? I always kind of go back of give yourself a break. If you're a woman that's like, well, my gosh, I'm really just like slowly killing myself and I didn't know. Well, of course, you're not going to know. Marketing is very smart. We talked about this too. Just there's very smart marketing out there right now and smart labels that get you to buy products that you think are good for you, but they're really not. And these are things causing hormone disruption and just making your body not work, really.
Not work, right? It interferes.
Yeah, it interferes with everything and it causes inflammation in your cells, and then your body doesn't know how to detox these things correctly, right? So some of us, one thing that I love to mention is we're all different, right? We all have different physiologies and different bodies, and some of us could handle a higher toxic load than others. And when we start putting these disruptors in our body from environmental toxins and cosmetics and skincare and emotional toxins too, when our bucket, this toxic bucket that we have inside of us, when that overflows is when we start getting all of these symptoms and we get fatigue and we get weight gain and we just all of these different issues that come up, and is really just causing so much inflammation in our bodies and not allowing our body to do what it's meant to do, which is thrive and have boundless energy.
Well, and I think that's so true. And what I think most people don't realize, like, especially when it comes to women, things that we're doing unintentionally can really impair our health. Like it's estimated that before we leave the house in the morning or before we go into our home study area, we put on 126 chemicals because really this quarantine probably has helped us reduce that number, hopefully by half. But when you start looking at reading the shampoo bottles, the conditioner bottles, the soap, and just start adding up all the ingredients in there, most of which we can't pronounce and are man-made and do not have longevity studies. But I can tell you that what we've seen is over 200 toxic chemicals in umbilical cord blood that we're passing down. And what I'm seeing as a physician is decreasing age. Let's say the younger and younger people, or women especially, and men, are having problems with hormones, testosterone, regular cycles, fertility, with breast lumps, breast cancer, hearing 20s and 30s and young 40s being diagnosed with breast cancer. And that should never happen, really should never happen. So a lot of this exposure can be from as early as in our womb. Not to add any more maternal guilt onto my shoulders, for sure, or anyone else's for that matter. But certainly we don't want to add any more maternal guilt on there. But it's really important to understand that we have to reduce chemicals. And sometimes I find myself thinking, well, I'm past childbearing and I really love that Christian Dior red. so let me just go with that. But recognizing too, these are toxins. There's no other way around it. They disrupt our body's own natural hormone receptors and interfere with our quality of life, our energy, our energetic level. And that is cellular dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction. So give us some couple tips. I put here the link to your masterclass, Discover the Simple Step-by-Step Strategies from 35 plus world-renowned experts to break up with exhaustion for good. And so give us some tangible, okay, what are some three things everyone's listening. We've got people from a Magic Menopause community, Keto Green community, and my Facebook. You guys share this information. Give us some love here. I love to see you guys here and interacting. This is the time to ask the experts question, like what could be blocking your energy, creating a low vibration, right? And when it comes down to it, it's the energy powerhouse of the cell. And there are typically a few things that we can do, but there's so much. I mean, I can only imagine what you gleaned from 35 plus experts too.
Oh my gosh. The fun thing is that, and I really enjoy this. So as I was interviewing everyone, no matter what pillar they were in, say somebody was talking about fasting, they went and touched on hormones and the importance of it, or they went and touched on sleep. So it's almost like every speaker touched on one of the other pillars, which only kind of solidified that, wow, these pillars really, truly are important. And they're that starting point. So some tips and tricks. I think one of the biggest things you just said, hormone disruptors, right? Toxins. Brian Vaisley was interviewed on my masterclass about toxicity in your skincare, toxic chemicals in your skincare. There's over 1,300, don't quote me on the exact number, but over 1,300 chemicals that are banned in skincare and makeup products in the EU. And there's only about 10 or 12 banned here. That alone, it's disgusting, right? And it makes me so upset because I use these products my whole life growing up, right? And the hairsprays and the crazy stuff. Great thing is now you have more solutions than ever. And I hope over the next few years we get more and more. But right now, your skin is your biggest organ. So I think the number one step is reducing that toxic exposure in your skin. So your skincare products and your makeup, I think will be kind of like my number one, together with like your laundry detergent. So household items, right? Just anything where you're washing the clothes, you're wearing them, it's going inside your skin. And your skin doesn't have the ability, it goes from your skin, it gets absorbed into your bloodstream. So you don't have a good ability to detox that, right? And you're just absorbing it and it's causing all of these issues. So that's number one. And a great story, Anna, because you said what did you call it? Not breast cancer.
We're just saying breast health. We want healthy breast, right? Absolutely.
So I just have a quick story to share because I got the great news this morning. So my 35-year-old sister-in-law was diagnosed with breast cancer a few months, probably like mid this year. And she decided to go through chemo. But one of the main things, we got her a holistic oncologist, and she got rid of all the toxins, and she needed to be really serious because of her condition. So if you're just somebody that's struggling with health, you could do things one thing at a time, not to get overwhelmed. But if you're in a serious situation, then you gotta put on your big girl pants and like get down to the itty gritty. She was amazing. I went to her house in New York. I visited her. We got rid of all the toxic chemicals in her skincare, in her food. She went organic. She went super, like, kind of like your green 16. She went super duper clean keto, a lot of juices, good juices, not sugar juices.
Yeah.
And started fasting a lot. She fasted for 2.5 days before and after her chemo, every single chemo, a lot of different mistletoe treatments, just different things, right? And her surgery, she went into surgery this morning, and they couldn't find any tumor.
Nice. Oh, goosebumps.
They couldn't find anything. And of course, the doctor's like, oh, the chemo worked exactly how it should be. And I go, well, maybe to an extent, but it's so much beyond that. And I don't want to know the results she would have gotten if she didn't, put the other things into action. But it was just such a beautiful thing to hear and see. I mean, no signs of disease whatsoever.
I love that. And I've heard this again and again. And I think this is really critical too. Fasting pre and post chemo, better results, right? There's better results in what we can do with integrative, IV vitamin C therapy and different things that we can do. Also for integrative, right? East meets West, integrative meets conventional.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to, work together in this. We can't just stick our head in the sands anymore, because we see too many situations like this. And I will share with you, I have a client, she had Hodgkin's lymphoma as a young adult in her 20s. And then, so anyone with Hodgkin's lymphoma have an increased radiation to the chest, significantly increased risk of breast cancer. I want to say 26% increased risk of breast cancer. And so she was my patient. She also had abnormal pap smears. And prior to coming to me, she would just have pap smears every 6 months, periodic colposcopies, and she'd already had a LEAP procedure, and so a laser procedure essentially to excise part of her cervix. And she continued to have this dysplastic cervical dysplasia, abnormal pap smears. And so I put her on, like, okay, well, you've had Hodgkin's lymphoma. What caused it? What can we do to help you? Is there a methylation defect going on? So I put her on methylated folate and a sulforaphane product called Oncoplex by Zymogen. I put her on a high dose of both, and her pap smears became normal again. And then she stopped taking it, and she came back in one time, and I noticed irregularity on her breast. Sent her for mammogram. There was a multifocal area, again, very high risk of breast cancer. The breast surgeon biopsied and said it's multifocal breast cancer. We need to do, the recommendation was a mastectomy. And that's what she wanted, because she'd been followed also with abnormal breast mammograms for a while. I'm like, well, give me 2 months. Just give me 2 months before your surgery. And we upped the dose of the Oncoplex and the methylated folate. She did a very early version of keto green, supported her detox, put her on my Mighty Maca Plus, helping her with her hot flashes, and just this regimen. She went for her mastectomy. That's what she wanted, right? Because peace of mind for her. Pathology report, nothing.
Wow. Same thing. Goosebumps, right? Like these stories give you, and it gives you hope, right? And a lot of times that's really what we need, is somebody else's story to give you that hope. I mean, that's incredible. And that goes down to like my number 2, if you said tips and tricks, it's learning about your hormones and your stress levels as women. Like that's something that I didn't look at for a very long time until I realized I needed to look at it. And just, there's so many simple hormone tests right now that you could do to look at your hormones to just make sure that they're in balance. And that leads to, stressful situations. So just working on yourself, whether it's taking 5-10 minutes in the morning or in the afternoon, whatever time you have. I know you're busy. Whether it's gratitude journaling, whether it's a guided meditation, whether it's going out for a walk every single day, figuring out ways to de-stress and work on your, mental side of things, oh my gosh, what a game changer. And Anna, those are like
Increasing behaviors, right?
yeah. Yeah. And then just being in that happy state, which you spoke about on your interview, right? We're meant to live a vibrant, happy life. We're meant to be filled with, surround ourselves with people that enjoy the things that we enjoy. And we're meant to be happy and joyful. And if you're not in that state, there needs to be a shift. Otherwise, I feel like negative and toxic emotions will lead to a physical trauma of some sort, or a disease or autoimmune or anything. So it really does start in your mind. So figuring out some sort of a daily routine to take time for you that's life changing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. And I think that's where we can't say it enough, because even now we're multitasking, right? I'm like, Ava's doing her homework over there. She just got back from horseback riding and training. We're preparing for, A, B, and C to do tomorrow. And this weekend is all horse shows. So, it's like all constant. Often there's a constant. And I think it's so important, especially with young girls, is keeping these endocrine disruptors away from them, focusing on gratitude, focusing on the positive, all things that can go right versus all things that can go wrong. And that's a challenge for me. That is one of the things that's why I'm so, oxytocin, like increasing happiness, focusing on joy, gratitude journaling is one of those big things. All right. What's your number 3?
Sleep. I honestly, literally almost every expert touch back on sleep, because if you're not getting enough sleep, or maybe you're getting enough hours of sleep, but you're not getting the right type of sleep, everything could fall apart, right? And as a new mom, I'm not a mom yet, but hopefully very soon I will be. And I could only imagine. I have so many nieces and nephews and godkids. So it could be tough, right? So we're not talking about every single day, but for the most part, focusing on your sleep. And it could be as easy as establishing a sleep routine, right? Giving yourself a break, maybe an hour, half an hour before you go to bed. Investing in a good, I almost call it like a sleep sanctuary, right? A place where you want to sleep, a non-toxic mattress, maybe some blue light blockers at night, switching out your light bulbs from like a regular light to a red light, which will allow you to create more melatonin and it gets your body ready for sleep. Reading a book rather than watching like a stressful show or something, right? All of these things can increase your sleep, the type of sleep that you're getting, because let's be honest, right? It's like it's common. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to be exhausted. So it's one of those things that just makes so much sense. But so many of us have trouble sleeping, falling asleep, staying asleep, and waking up refreshed. So focusing your time there is, I think, crucial. And we go through that in the masterclass, of course.
Yeah, I love that. Well, like, how do we get a hold of your masterclass? What are some things? How do we do that? I
Yeah.
put a link there, and tell us about that.
Honestly, super simple. You have the link. So click on the link. All you need to do is put in your name and your email. It goes live on the 26th. So my gosh, it's around the corner. Time goes by quick when you're having fun. So it launches on the 26th, and it's completely free, and we're going to be launching 1 pillar per day for 7 days. So just tune in and watch. We have about 5 to 6 interviews per day, kind of depending on the pillar. I try to keep them as short as possible at about 30 minutes. And again, they're structured in a way where they're applicable. So I don't want you to just watch and get this information and go, now what? It's here are their steps. Here's what you could do within each pillar to break up with exhaustion and just get your health back where I know it can and should be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just like there are many little things that we can do. We started off kind of talking about endocrine disruptors and how things can be like the great masqueraders of our own hormone, and they come to rob and steal. They steal our peace, they steal our energy, they interfere with our Krebs cycle, our mitochondrial function, our cellular health. And to be technical, so there are a few things that I just think, also as we're entering this season and we've been in quarantine, I know that personally because I've created more waste than I used to. So really conscientiously, now that I've moved, again, I've been on the road for 3 months, with my daughter. But now that we've moved again, really focusing on the recycle bin is, we want to keep our footprint to the minimum and reduce trash, reduce recycling, reduce that as much as possible. But definitely that the recycle bin should be bigger than the trash bin. But things like water bottles, plastic bottles. I mean, we think, okay, I'm drinking this healthy water and it's in a plastic bottle, and maybe you've left it in your car and it got warm, or it got warm in the truck, and we're getting these phthalates in there. Huge endocrine disruptor. And that, like being a mom and having bottle fed, breast pumped and then bottle fed, like even just the nipples, right? They're plastic nipples. Even if you're using a glass bottle, there are those things that can affect our child. So early on, they're getting this chemical exposure. Many things we don't even know. So the receipts that we get in the grocery store, don't get a receipt, or have the clerk put it in the bag, but try to just avoid getting a receipt. So like things like phthalates and bisphosphonates, BPA is another thing that's in our, often we're daily exposed to it, and we've got to reduce that exposure.
Yeah.
We have to reduce that exposure.
Another big thing that you don't really realize, but it's the plastic storage containers, right? Same thing with the plastic bottles. Most people store in plastic and then they put it in the microwave, right? And it's the heat that allows these phthalates to come out. And it's right every single day. Now you could be eating some good, organic, nutritious food, but now it's filled with these chemicals. So just being aware of that, one day go on Amazon and buy some glass cookware, not cookware, but, storage containers. And that's it. It could be that one switch that you did for the week, that to better your health. And they last so much longer and they don't get all the gooey stuff on there. So it's like a perfect solution, these simple things that you could do to reduce the toxic load for sure.
Yeah, I have to tell you, dishwashing detergent, that's another big thing. And now I've been really clean with that, really, choosing good, clean detergents, but also just a lot of hand washing. And, it's me and my 12-year-old now, so not a lot to clean up after right now. But what I noticed is that sometimes go have a glass of wine out at a pub and you can smell the chemicals now. I mean, I can totally smell the chemicals. I'm like, I am getting a good glass of wine. I do not want chemicals in my wine. Can you please rinse this with water, and I'll have it dry and I'll clean it out. I'm just really like picky about that. I'm like, I don't want, any chemicals mixing with my wine. Heck no.
It's like, yes, I'm that person now. But
yes, sure, I'm that person now. Exactly.
But honestly, once you reduce your toxic load, you definitely become more sensitive. And I remember at first I was kind of discouraged, but then at the same time I said, my body now senses that this is a toxic chemical that I shouldn't be around. Yeah. I used to have all the plugins around my house because I have dogs. I wanted my house to smell fresh. And all those Glade plugins are filled with toxins and you're breathing it in all day. And once I stopped, then I exchanged it with essential oils, right? And diffusers that do just as good, if not better. The second I walk into a house that has plugins or a car that has air freshener, I'm like, oh, I get, your body just knows that's a foreign substance. Get me out of here. And
And you can have headaches, reaction, watery eyes, itching, mold toxicity is another big one. So what about supplements? What were some of the universal supplements that were recommended?
Each expert kind of had their little tips and tricks. What I love is certain essential oils, especially when it comes to putting yourself in a parasympathetic state. So I had Jodie Cohen on with
love her.
Right? And like digestive oils and adrenal oils, right? A lot of times your energy, your adrenals, right? So things like that. Supplements like I love, one of my top recommendations was Fast Tonic, which I think I send you in your little goodie package. It's a molecular hydrogen. It basically just hydrates your cells. So when you're fasting or any day, if you're feeling stressed and dehydrated, it's just a quick thing to take. Things like binders, right? Because we're surrounded by chemicals, having good binders that don't have a bunch of fillers and toxins inside them. It's the saddest part, is so many supplements are actually just toxic, right? And you know this, and that's why you created your own. It's so having like a really good binder at night that whatever toxins you do have, if you're traveling, if you're stressed, if you're having some food that you're not quite sure if it's right for you, that way it could catch those and you poop them out in the morning. So having a great binder was a good one. But things
What's a
like,
good binder? Like your charcoal, a clean charcoal?
yeah, charcoal. There's like different binders they could put. True Carbon Cleanse is the one that I recommended. It's through, Revelation Health and True Cellular Formulas, which you're familiar with. It's just because it's clean, it's light, so it's not like it'll cause diarrhea all the next day, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I took this binder, I can't leave. But it's just, it has kind of ptilolite in there, so it's able to pull toxins out better as well and really truly hold on to them. So that's a good one. So it's like charcoal, and I think about 4 or 5 other binders in there as well. Mushrooms, we talk about different type of mushrooms all the time. David Avocado Wolf goes through a lot of like different superfoods and mushrooms, for brain power and energy. So those are just kind of some of the top ones that come to mind.
I love it. And those are great. Andrea, thank you. Thank you so much. And tell us your website, and people can connect with you directly. How?
Yeah. So my website is wellnessclarity.com. So that's my baby. That's a resource website where you're featured, and I have all of my top tips and tricks and amazing podcasts to listen to, and experts like you to follow, and top supplements that have been recommended and tested for purity, of course. So that's where you could find me. And then, of course, using your link to sign up for the free masterclass.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us today. Love our conversations always. And I'm so proud of you for overcoming your own journey and helping so many others. So
Thank you
thank
so much
you.
for having me.
Thank you, everyone.